Hello. So basically, I had a fight with my grandma this morning and I went out on a walk to to I guess relax, and I went to the local flea market and I had a few euros on me, sorry, like 1 or 2 euros. And I bought this like second-hand calendar diary thing from 2006, which was basically like 19-20 years ago. Yeah, this is like a calendar diary thing in Greek from 2006, which is, if you really think about it, a lot of people uh, who who like who were born in 2006 are graduating high school now, or they're even in college, university, whatever you call it, where you live. And I was thinking to myself about how different the world was as recently as 2006. Yeah, I was thinking about how different the world was as recently as 2006. And yeah, about how, like, yeah, as recently as like 20 years ago, even like 10, 12 years ago, there was a lot less opportunity for like learning and information and getting discovered by others for creatives in the world. They're like, as recently as like 2008, 2009, there was no way you could like be like an independent musician or an independent artist and like grow organically on your own without needing the support of a label. Maybe you could like promote and do like local shows and venues and things like that, but there was pretty much no way you could distribute your music. Uh, Apart from maybe like DIY CDs, making your own CDs and like selling them at local venues and playing around your hometown and things like that. There was not much you can do. As recently as 2006, I can name a few musical artists who started posting their music on like MySpace when it was still a thing. But I can really think of anyone who grew an audience completely independently on their own and grew organically on MySpace, because back on the MySpace was a thing again as recently as 2006. There was no way you could distribute an entire original album or promote yourself and your work, whatever it is, whether it's visual art, web comics, original music, hip hop, classical music, acting even. Some actors like blew up on the internet and were discovered that way. So it's more common for musicians and visual artists, I feel. Yeah, that's like there's so much opportunity nowadays that it did not exist back then. And as recently as like 2006, if you wanted information about a very specific topic, then that maybe like isn't very widespread on the internet, you had to go to a physical library to learn about that topic and look for books. And maybe if it's a very niche topic, they're not gonna have a lot of books about it. And as recently as 2006, you had to go to like a physical CD store if you wanted to look at, to discover a new, smaller musical artist. You had to go to a physical bookstore if you wanted to read something by a newly published author. There was no Wattpad, there was no web novel, there was no tapas, no webtoon, nothing. You had to go to a physical bookstore if you wanted to find new books or manga or comics to read. And now basically anyone can post anything on the internet and grow on their own without needing many funds or needing the support of a label or like a publishing house or whatever. You can literally, this is like the best time in history uh, to be like a creative of any kind, basically. And yeah, look, if I had been 19, 18, 20 at like in like 2006 instead of 2026, I would be a lot more hesitant to I would be a lot more hesitant to like pursue the path that I'm pursuing, because I knew there were very few opportunities back then. Maybe there were, like, some people still succeeded, but I feel like the rate was a lot smaller. It was very feast or famine. You were either like a globally known or maybe locally quite successful, but that was very rare. You were either a major superstar or nobody knew you and you were a starving artist and you had to work 2 day jobs to survive. Like, it was very feast or famine. There was no middle ground back then, whereas now like a person who grew on their own completely organically on the internet can have like a small local fan base, and maybe even like tour. They can have like a small local fan base and they can tour and sell out venues and uh, or promote themselves completely on their own, and then the next morning they can like go to the grocery store and no one recognizes them. There's a middle ground nowadays that did not exist back in the day, or at least there was less of it. So the internet has created a kind of, at least in like modern type music, as in pop, rap, rock, R&B, hip hop, there's like a new like musical middle class. There's a new musical middle class, a middle ground between being a local, like a global superstar that's planted and promoted by a label and would have never succeeded that much on their own otherwise, and being a complete nobody. There's a middle ground these days, and I really like that. So had I been my current age in 2006 instead of 2026, I would be a lot more hesitant to do what I'm doing now. And same thing with like classical music. Back in the day, there was back in the day, like, there was pretty much the only way you could learn a physical instrument was in person at like a local studio or a local conservatory. That was your only option. You had no option for remote lessons or even for self-learning. So if you couldn't afford in-person lessons, your only option was either to look for a charity or organization like El Sistema in Greece, the one which I'm about to attend, yeah. Or you didn't do anything pretty much, or you had to find someone in your neighborhood, like a friend or a mentor who knew how to play, who could teach you, kind of like how Wes Montgomery was mostly self-taught, but he had a neighbor that taught him the basics of guitar. Yeah, you didn't have many options back then. Today the playing field has been leveled a lot. Yeah, back in the day, it was as recently as 20 years ago. I cannot believe 2006 was almost 20 years ago, man. It's crazy. Like, people who were born in 2006 have finished high school now, or they're about to finish it. There's a page that's broken. Someone had written something on it. Yeah, it's like, I really like these vintage. I don't know if I can call them vintage if they're from 2006. I like these old notebooks. They remind me like of the passage of time. It reminds you like how short life can be at times. How short life can be. Look at this. Like, this shows like how the distance between different towns and villages. It was a different time back then. And the phones are still there. I wonder if the phone numbers are still valid. Like, this is like a 2006 calendar, man. So yeah, I have like huge respect, and this is like an ad for like what are these, like cashier machines? I don't know what they're called in English. This was a different time. Some of these numbers might not be valid anymore, and they have like their fax number on it too. So yeah, I have like huge respect for creatives and musical artists who debuted on their own and grew organically before the internet was like widespread before the internet was huge. Because like back then there was not much you could do on your own. There were not many ways you could be independent without being promoted by a middleman in some way. Today you can basically do most things on your own on the internet. You can promote your work on the internet. You can release an original album completely for free or very cheap on the internet and distribute it through streaming services. You can self-publish a novel online, either on a platform like Wattpad or Webtoon, or you can like self-publish on Amazon. And if it grows enough organically on its own, you might have the chance to get traditionally published as well. Or you might have the chance to actually get signed by a label and no longer need to be independent. It's actually absurd how much opportunity there is today. If I wanted to be what I want to be in like 2006 instead of 2026, which is coming in a few months, I would be a lot more hesitant about it, and maybe I would be more risk averse. Maybe I wouldn't completely give up on it, but I'd be more risk averse. Or maybe I would like listen to like the typical stuff, or like, oh, go study this, go study computer science, it's the future. I would listen to that advice. I don't even know if that was like common discourse in like 2006, but now I'm in 2026 and there is so much opportunity for us. And the same thing is true for businesses, by the way. Even if you want to be entrepreneurial and self-employed, but in a more traditional career or a more traditional field, the same thing applies to like regular businesses, instead of like artists promoting original work, or like a concert pianist or a soloist promoting their work on the internet. Now, if you want to start a business, if you wanted to start a business in 2006, you basically had to have like capital. You had to have physical, like you had to physically buy space and materials and capital and the means of production for your business. So it had to be an in-person business, like an accounting firm, like a company, like a local hotel. Maybe you were a local hotel owner or a restaurant owner. And yeah, we basically had to have capital and money, like accumulated through working or through inheritance. So people who had an inheritance or who were born rich had a much bigger head start than they have now. And like for that matter, they still have a head start. The wealth and privilege have always been a head start in the world, but today the playing field is leveled so much, because you can literally have just be like an influencer and promote online and like promote someone else's products and make that your business instead. Or you can create content and then sell like a digital product. It can be like Notion templates. It can be like a course or an ebook or a tutorial or something. And as long as you're not scamming people and ripping people off, I think it can be ethical. I have less of an interest in that personally, but same thing with artists now. Back in the day, you had to either sell your art, your physical, traditionally painted art, in person, and you had to pay for materials and for space and for everything. Or you had to find, I don't even know how graphics designers and like people doing interior design found clients back then. Today you can find these things online and do them for much cheaper using a €50 Wacom One tablet like mine. Or you can do digital commissions on places like Vigen. And yeah, there's never been a better time to be a creative of sorts. You should literally realize how privileged you are to be a young, aspiring, promising creative if you are one. You should be grateful for the timing, because in my opinion, luck and timing always plays a role, and it's just a fact of life. And yeah, we're really lucky to be young, promising creatives who are still at the beginning stages of their lives in 2025, 2026. instead of 2005 and 2006, because back then it was a different time and things worked so differently, man. As recently as 2006, it's like a crazy thought in my mind. I have some of it. This is from 2014, more recent. I have like some journals here. My grandma has them from like 2006 with poetry and stuff, and it really makes me feel grateful that I'm not trying to do what I'm doing now in 2006. And like uh, instead of like 2026, because the odds would have been even more against me back then. Whereas now I have the internet and I have so much more opportunity than. Why am I in the bathroom? Than I would have had back then. So if you're young and promising, and living in 2026, and you're not like, you don't have any like dependents and I guess any risks to take, you don't have anything to lose. I recommend that you feel grateful for the timing, for literally like the timing of your birth, the timing, because luck and timing does play a role with most things. And the timing for us, you have to understand, it's excellent, it's amazing, and we have to take advantage of this. So yeah, these were my thoughts. Take care.